Hi, this is Marcy Locke. I'm out enjoying my time and the time that I'm creating for myself, and this is something that I want to get into and share, but a different perception, hopefully, because this is what I hear so much from so many people is I just don't have the time. I'm a busy mom, I'm running a business, there's just never enough time, and I want, as a past perfectionist who was extremely in that same story, I want to share hopefully a different perception as to what keeps you from moving forward and creating that change in your life. Time is really your story, your validation, your excuse, the reason that you're believing you can't have something. It's like you're a victim of circumstance who it's all thrown on you. There's so much to do. There's so much just to be a good mom or be a good dad or to be a good, at your job, employee, etc. that we create that we can't have it because of this. And like you have no control over it. And what I would love you to look at and understand is that in our time that we create, as a powerful creator, we get to really just decide what is the most priority in your life. Now, if you see feeding your children and feeding yourself as a priority, or you'll die. You see, maybe a way to make income as a priority. But what we start to do in this list that we get of everything that we have, the story that you're choosing or believing is that your list of time, your list of all the things that you have to do, it has to be so much for you to be validated, for you to be accepted and good enough. If it might be that you think if I take time for me, it's selfish. If you realize it's hard for you to sit down and eat or sit and watch a movie or just to say, hey, today I don't want to do anything. If that feels scary to you, because there's anxiousness that it would feel like a waste of your day, it would feel unproductive. Believe me, I'm productive and I like to go and move. As a past perfectionist, I know what part of perfectionism serves me and what part destroys me and limits and disempowers me. And so if you have this feeling about time that you have to have so much on your plate, it's really a source of validation. It's the story you're choosing that I have to have my kids in this and that and do this for the day, and so that it might be that when your husband comes home, you are kind of the martyr, the one who says, look at all that I did, so I was good enough today. So it feels validating. Or I'm this kind of a mom, or I'm volunteering at the school and this and this and this, and it's the image of the mask that you're living in. And that story means you're not on the list. And when you're not on the list, that's really because deep down you're not worth it. You're not a priority in your life and worth it. Now I want you to allow yourself to see what are you speaking out and what are you teaching even to your children. We've been conditioned this way. To a degree, all of us have been conditioned in perfectionism. From the time we're little, it's a don't do that. You see the negative versus the 20 positives. It has to look a certain way for it to be good enough or accepted. And so we've all been kind of conditioned this way. And so you believe it has to be this way. So you as the mom, the parent, the whatever you're in, the employee with all the things to do, you believe you've got to show up and show for everybody else and do all these things to prove that you're worth it and you're good enough and it's accepted. Now, what you end up doing is passing the same thing on to your kids or never creating that change, because what are they going to see? That for me to be loved and accepted and good enough, I have to always put myself last and serve everybody to the umpteenth degree, that it doesn't matter if I can't even sit down and eat or do anything else, because that means it's good enough. That means I make other people happy. And do you really want your kids to go through life, or your spouse or other people to go through life getting the message that you really can't connect with them or that they're not important? It's more important, kids, that I get all these 20 things done and you just go play. We end up being so disconnected to life because you're in the perception that it has to be this way to be accepted and good enough. And when you clearly see this, you realize you're like, the analogy I like to use is you're like the crazy lady with the empty pitcher, or the crazy man. You're like running around trying to fill up your kids' cups and your spouse and your job and your neighbors and your family and do for everybody else, because you have literally attracted people into your life that will want you to do more for them, and you don't know how to say no, and you add more and more and more to your plate because it's the only way you feel accepted. But you're the crazy lady with the empty pitcher going, let me fill up your cup, let me fill your cup. And people are like, crazy lady, you didn't even put anything in my cup. You're so empty And then that's why then we turn to trying to fill ourselves up on a feeling we want by sabotage, by even destroying our the actions that would give us what we want. We're actually getting everything opposite of what we want because deep down you don't believe you're worth it. If you're not on the list of your time, it's because you're not worth it. So the insanity, the bipolarism of this is to think that somehow it's going to change for you by just one day magically the time is going to be better, and all of a sudden you're going to have the time for yourself to create the body of health. When this is what you look for, this is what you expect life to be like for you to be good enough, you will always be attracting something else. There'll always be more added onto your plate. So you think, oh yeah, when we get through this project, or the kids are a little bit older, or this or that's done, 20 other things will show up before that ever finishes, because that's how you validate yourself and that's what you're looking for. So if you really want something different, you've got to decide, you got to catch yourself and say, wait, it won't just change if I don't make myself worth the time. If you're not 10 minutes for yourself or 20 minutes for yourself or an hour for yourself, then you'll never be worth it, and it can never just magically change. This is the creation of your life. That's the definition of insanity, of doing the same thing and expecting something to just magically change someday and to get the body of health. Now, in this also, what I want you to think about is, if you were on your deathbed and you had the opportunity to look back at your life, would you want, again, if your kids to see that message that, oh, look at all the things that I did and accomplished? Or are they going to remember more, and you going to remember more and be more connected, or feel more, have less regrets, or feel more like you were in tune with your life or connected to it, if from the moments that you did get to actually seize and you did get to experience things, versus, oh, but I did all these things. Which one do you think you're going to want to look back and say, I connected with my kids, I had an awesome family, I had great relationships, I lived in a body of health that I could seize life experiences? Or do you want to say, oh yeah, I did a million things and the time's kind of passed me by and I wish? Because that's what you're going to experience if you don't change it. You've got to decide you want something different and decide to change it. And on top of not only looking back on your life, I want you to think about it this way. If you knew that giving yourself 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour a day was going to allow you to be the ultimate man or wife, as in husband, wife, mother, father, sister, brother, the ultimate in your relationships, it would give you everything that you want in seizing life, would you make it a priority? If you knew it was going to change your life, you would make it a priority. But you're stuck in your story of what it has to look like for you to be validated and good enough, because that's all you know. That's your identity, that's how you're accepted, that's how you're loved. And deep down, it's really fear of rejection. Fear of judgment if you take time for you, or what it looks like. This is because you're wearing those foggy glasses of your perception through your belief systems of what you see life to be. But if you take a step and you allow yourself to understand a different way, then it's like we can chuck off those glasses on your son, like, this is awesome, life can be awesome. I know what this is like. I was a single mom working as a waitress. I worked till 2 a.m. and get up at 5 a.m. just so I could do everything, just so I could be good enough. I wouldn't answer the door if somebody was coming to my house, because my house had to look perfect and everything had to be perfect. Do you think I was happy? No, I was not happy. When you are not worth it and you're not filled up, there is nothing to give. You get to decide, what do you really want to be your experience in life? Because the time thing is a very great validation. And yes, it works, and you can prove yourself right by saying, I don't have enough time. But do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Because if you want happy, you get to let go of this story of time and say, okay, for me to get on this list, to teach my kids, to teach everyone else that they're worth it too in their life, and I'm worth it too, and I want to be happy so I have more to fulfill them with and give, your pitcher can be overflowing to give to them if you create time for you. So you get to say, okay, what do I get to let go of? What do I get to balance out? How do I get to ask for assistance and be vulnerable and authentic? And allow myself to have something different, to just get myself on my schedule for some time. Because otherwise, it won't ever change for you. It won't change for you till you do something different. I truly hope, having been there, I wish I could give it to you. But you have to decide, I want something different, and take that next step forward to allow yourself to have something different. We're literally, time now, my belief is that there's time in abundance for all that I get to do. And breaking through those, how it had to look, and to validate myself, gets to be like, if something shows up for the day and things aren't going to quite flow, I can, okay, what do I get to let go of today to let this happen? Who do I get to ask for assistance? How do I get to change this? That I'm connected to my kids and I get to seize life in the moments. And when you start to do that, you're saying, I'm worth it, and my life gets to be awesome. And then guess what? Now my life is freaking awesome. I can, take off and hike and do what I desire to do anytime and be connected to my kids and change my schedule and still make, my passion, my business, all these things work. But I would have never, ever gotten here if I didn't allow myself to take that first step and say, I'm worth it. Okay, let me decide what I get to let go of to put myself as a priority on that list. Because not only are you paying the cost in your entire life in every realm, in money, in relationships, in everything, but you won't change it until you decide, I'm worth that first step. So I hope that you decide to see time as a different thing, that we all have the same amount. It's a gift of life that you're missing out on every day if you don't shift that you're worth the time. I'm Marcy Locke, reminding you that power choice is yours, so choose your best life.